Welcome to the MC3 Executive Podcast. In this episode, we're exploring tone calibration. Tone is the emotional voltage of leadership. It is one of the strongest influences on how teams behave. Stronger than many leaders realize. Faster than strategy. More contagious than urgency. In global organizations, tone often travels further than intent and arrives before meaning. A sentence spoken in one office can influence behavior on the other side of the world. A pause can create hesitation. A sharp tone can reduce confidence. A calm tone can restore stability. Tone is not decoration. Tone is architecture. Yet many leaders treat tone as something accidental. A reflection of personality, mood, or pressure. The most effective leaders take a different approach. They treat tone as a leadership tool. Something to be calibrated deliberately. The purpose of the MC3 Tone Calibration Tool is simple. To help leaders communicate with the emotional tone their organization needs, rather than the emotional state they happen to be experiencing. To understand how this works, it's useful to think of tone as carrying a temperature. A steady tone creates predictability. A cool tone creates focus. A warm tone creates openness. A firm tone creates movement. A calm tone creates safety. An elevated tone creates urgency. Problems begin when tone and reality no longer match. If leaders sound calmer than the situation requires, teams may underreact. If leaders sound more urgent than necessary, anxiety and confusion begin to spread. The challenge is not choosing the right emotion. The challenge is creating alignment. Consider a leader responding to a developing operational issue. Wanting to avoid panic, they speak casually and warmly. Their intention is reassurance. But the message lands differently. Teams interpret the warmth as a sign that the issue is not important. Escalation slows. Responses become delayed. The problem quietly grows. When the same leader later adopts a calm but unmistakably firm tone, alignment returns. The issue is addressed. Progress accelerates. The tone matched the reality. Tone does not need to be loud to be clear. It simply needs to be aligned. This is why tone acts as an organizational regulator. It shapes behavior across borders. It influences how quickly teams move, how confidently they act, and how consistently they interpret leadership messages. Many leaders believe timelines drive speed. In practice, tone often has a greater influence. Teams respond not only to what leaders say. They respond to the emotional signal surrounding the message. Urgency can be communicated without ever using the word urgent. Hesitation can be communicated even when the words sound confident. The organization listens to emotional cues as much as instructions. This is why effective leaders learn to separate what they feel from what they communicate. Feeling pressure does not require sounding pressured. Feeling rushed does not require sounding rushed. Feeling uncertain does not require sounding uncertain. Tone becomes a tool of leadership rather than a reflection of emotion. There is another challenge. Different cultures interpret tone differently. A tone that feels calm in one culture may sound disengaged in another. A tone intended as urgency may be heard as threat. A tone intended as respect may be interpreted as distance. Leaders cannot control every interpretation. But they can create emotional clarity. When tone consistently matches intention, people stop trying to read between the lines. They begin to trust the line itself. Of course, even experienced leaders occasionally misjudge tone. What matters is not perfection. What matters is repair. A tone reset is a simple acknowledgement that helps restore alignment. For example, let me restate that more clearly. The timeline is firm, but there is no crisis. Or, I spoke with urgency earlier. The intent was focus, not pressure. Or, my tone was sharper than necessary. Let me clarify the message calmly. These small adjustments prevent misunderstanding from becoming organizational drift. They restore clarity. They restore confidence. and they preserve trust. When tone is calibrated effectively, teams move with confidence. Regions interpret messages more consistently. Escalations become more predictable. Uncertainty becomes manageable. And crises become easier to navigate. Tone is not the soft side of leadership. It is part of the infrastructure that holds alignment together. Consider these three versions of the same message. Hot tone. Why isn't this done? Neutral tone. Where are we with this, and what support do you need? Cool tone. Give me a simple status update when you're ready. The words may appear similar, but the emotional response is very different. This week, pay attention not only to what you're communicating, but how you're communicating it. Ask yourself, what emotional temperature am I creating? And is it helping the organization move in the direction it needs to go? Because leadership is not only about the message. It's also about the emotional climate that carries it. Thank you for listening to the MC3 Executive Podcast.